Everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Brianna Whiteside, and I create faith, fashion, lifestyle, and financial content. So if you're here, that must mean that you're interested in one or more of these things. In this video, I want to talk to you about how you think about yourself and why that matters. I come across a lot of people who just don't have necessarily positive thoughts about themselves. And though they may think that they think positively about themselves, or they may think that they want the best for themselves, their speech betrays them. Their speech tells another narrative. And not only does their speech tell another narrative or a counter narrative, but their actions do as well. And so I want to talk to you about your thoughts and therefore about your actions and how you're showing up in the world. The first thing I want to tell you is that your thoughts influence your belief. We think a lot of thoughts every day. We think, let me see how many. Let me Google to tell you how many thoughts we actually think a day. 6,000 it says. Okay, so according to Newsweek and even Healthline, we think 6,000 thoughts per day. That's a lot of thoughts, you all. Can you remember all of your thoughts that you think throughout the day? I know I can't recall all the thoughts I think about myself, but ultimately the thoughts that really get my attention, or the thoughts that I really, have to kind of focus on, are the thoughts that pertain to me. Why? Because how I think about myself impacts the way that I show up in the world. It impacts the decisions that I make, and it impacts impacts the decisions that I choose not to make. It impacts my attitude. It impacts so many things, and so I'm always having to kind of be more aware of the thoughts I think. And therefore, I'm also aware of the actions that I take, okay? So if your thoughts influence your beliefs, then your beliefs influence your decisions and therefore your actions. What do you believe about yourself? I was recently in the presence of someone, and this particular person, I could tell that she didn't believe highly about herself. And if I'm really honest, to believe in yourself and to believe the highest thoughts about yourself is not an easy thing. You have to be really, really intentional about believing positively about yourself, because there's so many messages that are coming to men and women to kind of devalue us, to tell us we're unworthy, to tell us that we got to get this body work done, or we have to do a certain thing in order to secure, the bag, or whatever the case may be. There's so many thoughts and so many comments coming at us daily that we really have to be very intentional about thinking and therefore aligning our beliefs with the highest version of ourselves. And so I could tell that this woman did not believe highly of herself. Her speech kind of told on her. And I just had to ask her, why do you believe that? Why do you believe that you're always going to struggle? Why do you believe that you're always going to rob Peter to pay Paul? Why do you believe that there's nothing beautiful in life waiting on you? Why do you believe that you're only going to attract negativity? Like all of these questions I had for her, because I know that if you are thinking negatively about yourself, and therefore you believe, whether it's on a subconscious level or not, about yourself, then eventually these thoughts are going to show up in your actions. So the woman is not self-motivated. She's not ambitious. She's not driven. She's not a lot of things. And I'm like, your life is the sum total of the thoughts you thought, the beliefs you believed, and the decisions that you either made or did not make. 1000%, y'all. If I am honest, the only thing that sets me apart from a lot of my peers are the decisions that I make on the front end. In a previous video, and even a lot of other videos, I always tell people that I pay a price on the front end. I cry, spit, and fart about it. I don't like it. I'm upset about it. But I know that we're all going to pay. I get to decide how I want to pay, though. Which payment that I want to submit, right? And so, again, your thoughts influence your beliefs. Your beliefs influence your decisions and your actions. What are you not doing because you don't believe in yourself? What are you not doing because you don't believe that there's a better tomorrow for you? What are you not doing because you don't believe that you deserve happiness and all the things? What are you not doing? This is a very real question that I want you to ask yourself, because sometimes we don't take the time to sit with ourselves. Sometimes we don't take the time to check in with ourselves. We're too busy worried about what somebody else gonna do. We're too busy worried about what somebody else should be doing. I remember I had a friend in town and we were talking and she was telling me all the things that somebody else should do. And I was like, girl, what should you be doing? And she was like, huh? Oh, I know what I should be doing. And I'm like, okay, are you doing it? Because you know what everyone else should be doing. But what about you? What about the responsibility that you have for your life? Because no matter if you know what somebody else should be doing, it doesn't mean they're going to do it, because they don't have to do it. It's their life. And that is probably one of the hardest things that I've had to reconcile in my own life. Like, you can want the best for somebody else and you could have, their wisdom for them. But until they want those things, there is nothing you can do or say to help them. They have to want it. They have to think it. They have to believe it for themselves, all right? As a result of beliefs influencing decisions and actions, you have to remember that your actions influence your outcomes. All of the decisions, all of the steps that you decide to take right now are impacting your tomorrow. Okay, you're just not deciding to do something today and it not show up 3 years later, 4 years later. Okay, even next month. When I decided that I wanted to get out of consumer debt, when I decided that I was going to take the journey and try to learn about it, I had to think my way through that process. I'm a practical Christian. I'm not a woman who does not believe that God not only gives supernatural steps, but practical ones. And so I had to say, okay, you're going to have to not go to this cookout, or you're going to have to not hang out this day because you want to save your money to be able to spend it later on. And the sacrifice was difficult. I didn't like it, but I knew that I was making decisions today that were going to impact me years later. And here I am, was this 2019 when I started, 3 years later, sitting in a very comfortable financial place, right? And so I just want to encourage you to remember, or even just think about how you're thinking about yourself, because it matters. It really doesn't matter what other people think about you. I know that we as a society think like, oh, what are other people gonna say? What are other people gonna do? What blah, 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 other people? It ain't got nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you and what you think about you. Okay? And so I want to remind you of that, because them folks, they really, honestly, y'all, folks really don't care what we do, to be honest. We care about them potentially caring. They don't care. They don't care. They're trying to live their lives. They're trying to figure it out too. But sometimes we're so stuck in this people pleasing, people thinking type of cycle that we don't do what we know what we're supposed to do. You got to get delivered from people pleasing. You got to let it go no matter what. No one knows the path that you're supposed to take. You are original. God created you to be an original. So you're going to have a very unique path. It may be similar, but it will not be the same as someone else's. There definitely are going to be some similarities, but you have to be okay with walking a unique path, okay? So I want to encourage you to check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how are you thinking about yourself? Or even just look back over your life. And if you're not where you want to be, ask yourself, what were the thoughts that I thought that hindered this process? And therefore, what were the beliefs that I believed, right, that hindered me from getting to the next step? Or even what were the actions or the lack thereof that I did take or did not take that landed me in a position that I'm in right now? You have to take ownership and responsibility of your journey. You can't afford to be blaming other people, because it's your life. You grown. You're an adult, right? You have to take responsibility. So I hope that encouraged you to take responsibility. And friend, once you take that responsibility, there's nothing you can't do. you can change your life immediately, and sometimes it's kind of overnight or even within the same year. We are in the second half of 2022, and there is nothing that's impossible for you. You just have to start to decide to do better and do different. Anyway, so that's all I have for you. Before you leave, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment if you desire to, and make sure you follow me over on Instagram at The Book of Brianna. I do a lot more on my Instagram than I do on YouTube, but I am gearing up to continue to release content here. I hope that helped you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.